Hello, thank you for joining us once again here at SGTV. We are back in the studio with Brett Murray from Murray's Electrical. So, how you doing?
Not too bad yourself?
Yeah, very good. We're going to be talking about working in the family business. So, for this one, it could be difficult for some people because not everyone gets on with their family, and working with them could be quite turbulent. So let's sort of go into about how your business sort of came about first of all.
Yeah, I've worked with my dad for must be nearly 10 years now. Originally employed with a company. Sometimes we were on the same job, sometimes we were on different jobs. But he's always had a supervisor role in the jobs that we've been on. So we tried to, from the outset, we always tried to keep it very professional, work-like. One of the first things he said to me was, "Don't call me Dad on site," and that was because
That's got to be weird, hasn't it?
The thing was, it made us all chuckle at the time. There was a number of father and son pairings on the company that we work for, and he said, "Oh, like the lad, this lad here, he runs around, has anybody seen my dad? Has anybody seen my dad?" And he goes, he just gets a ribbon, like, it just doesn't sound very good, like, I don't like it.
Where's
like,
my dad?
Yeah, honestly, it was. And he goes, and we were travelling to go and work with these people on that job this day, and it was like, we got there, and within 10 minutes, "Has anybody seen my dad? Where's my dad?" And I just looked at Andy at the time, and yeah, I can see why this doesn't work, and you both end up getting a ribbon sort of thing. So from that moment onwards, it was called him Andy. But then further down the line, people didn't always make the connection at first, and then it got found out, father and son. And one of the first jobs we were doing as a self-employed pair, it got to the point where everybody else on site was calling him Dad, apart from me. Honestly, so it was like, I don't know why I bother, like, trying to do this anymore. So that was, it's always been quite comical, and I just enjoy working with each other as well. I believe we've always sort of, we're very different people. It does cause conflicts at times, but first of all, he got me the job. He's taught a lot of people on the company that I joined as an apprentice, and there was a moment where we were sort of treating each other as family on the job, and it was tensions did get a little bit flared, and rubbed him up the wrong way. He was in charge, and I'd argue with him because it was my dad, and all that sort of thing. But it was a middle-aged guy on site when I was in my 20s that turned around to me and said, "Your Dad's taught me everything I know. Like, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here now," sort of thing, and all that. And it was probably at that moment that the penny dropped that I probably should listen and take note. And if you can teach him at going out and make this living, then there's a good chance that it'd teach me as well. Yeah. But we've always got on all right. I know a lot of father and son parents. We tried working together. It didn't work. They still worked on the company. They just made sure they were on separate jobs, and don't know how you two do it. And
So what makes it different? How do you think you two are so successful at it?
Like I say, I think we both sort of got respect for each other's opinions. He's old school. I've been taught, the new school sort of thing. Younger generation, but I think he respects that some of the new technology stuff I've sort of got. I know how to do it. The computer side of things, programming, all that sort of thing. It's Brett. Brett's the one for doing that.
So you're teaching him things as well?
Yeah.
Or is he leaving you to it, or are you actually teaching him things?
We sort of bounce off each other, and there's aspects of it which I just. That's your department, right? Honestly, I try. It's everybody's good at their own thing, aren't they? Everybody's got their own little niche in the industry, and what one person is good at isn't necessarily everybody else's bag. And it just seems to work that things I can do all right, he not interested in, and the bits, you know. So it's always worked out quite well, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's always been, you know, it's been always been a pleasure rather than a struggle for us two sort of thing. So it's not that bad.
Yeah. How have you ever sort of resolved conflict? So for whatever reason you've rubbed each other up the wrong way on a job, how have you sort of resolved
We
that?
tend to sort of leave each other alone, not talk in the van, not talk, and then sort of turn up in the house in the morning and go, morning, morning. Drive to work and probably get there and coffee.
Yeah.
And coffee is a pair of us. If there ain't no coffee, we're in trouble. Like, you know, that's, and then you just sort of go back in once again. It's, you know, sort of professional attitude. You know, there's no point carrying on arguing about it. Do you know what I mean? It's you're gonna have disagreements with people anywhere in life, isn't you? Whether it's family and everything. But I don't think neither of us sort of hold a grudge, if you know what I mean. And you might mention it in a jokey sort of way about lunchtime the next day and start laughing about it, sort of thing. But you know, he's possibly a bit more serious than I am about things, and you know, I must admit I try and wind him up just for
Just because you can.
just because. And if there's anybody ever on site that winds the old man up before I do, I normally tell him that's my job.
Yeah.
You know, leave that one. That's for me to do.
Do you ever find though, if you're on a site with other employees or subcontractors, if you're winding your dad up, do you ever find that? Do you ever feel bad thinking actually I might have just undermined his sort of authority here?
Yes, I mean there are times when. See, that's why you've got to be sort of a little bit. You've got to pick your moments for it then.
Yeah, when no one else is around.
Either nobody else is around, or if you've got, you know, some other colleagues and everything that just understand what we're like, if you know what I mean. Sometimes people say to us, she should be on telly, like it's like you know, it's like some sort of comedy act.
Yeah. Maybe that's some content you can put on your YouTube channel.
It's catching it though. That's the thing, because you never quite know when it's going to happen, and you know, it was only last week that, you know, he got a bit stressed about, I forget what it was, he got a bit stressed about something, so I was going, oh no, what have you done now? And, you know, sort of laying it onto him, and that was clicked. Right, I just started laughing. I was like, you've bet, like, you've gone, like, what's that? And, you know, then immediately afterwards, it sort of settles down, and it settles him down as well. You know, the stress level decreases because there's a bit of a laugh and a joke, and I think that's why I think that's how we tried to lighten the situation as well, is sort of laugh about it, and you know, you're going to clash with people, aren't you?
Yeah.
Whether they're family or not, sort of thing.
What about your education? Because I'm assuming your dad probably came through the ranks in a different way to you. Was there ever a conflict of sort of methods and practice?
No, to be fair, I mean, it was obviously very, very different. He come out of the electricity board, the qualifications are very different. I mean, he sits there and looks at, you know, my qualifications and certificates and goes, you're probably more qualified than I am, sort of. But no, I struggle to agree with that, because my 10 years of experience over his 50 plus years of experience, and I will always sit there and say that experience is the best education out of everything. But he did, where I was going to college and learning one way of doing it, slightly different, you know, he could always stand there then afterwards and go, well, this is how I was taught to do it. And sort of then left me to make my own mind up in what worked for me, what didn't work for me. There's some things that other people, you know, I've picked things up of other people and gone, I don't know why you do it like that, it just stresses me out.
Yeah.
But everybody's individual, and, you know, what method works for one person isn't, you know, I always say to everybody with the electrical industry, there's always sort of more than one way to skin the cat. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. It's if it works and if it applies and safe and ticks all them boxes in that big blue book we've got, then it's not wrong, is it?
Yeah.
So it gives a good balance between sort of the old and the new as well, I think, between the pair of us.
Are there any sort of standout things that you've learned from your dad? Things that you use every day or really stick out?
To be fair, I think the conduit. I mean, we're very very heavily in the commercial industrial side of things, and steel conduit I picked just the way of doing it off of them. And when I do conduit, people say they don't understand how I do it without measuring it. It's just a way of doing it by eye, and being a bit free, having a bit of freedom with the tube, rather than trying to get it all precise. And a lad, there was two of us. He was a couple of years younger than me, and he does it all by measuring it. And now he was taught at college, and he goes, "Oh, I couldn't do it like you." But that is something I've picked up from Andy, and just a bit of experience and a bit of eye, and just it's almost a sort of different way of doing it from what you taught at college, I think.
What about mistakes? Because everyone makes mistakes, whether they like to admit it or not.
We all do it.
You're on site. Have you ever? I mean, I can imagine through experience, your dad has probably had to correct some of your mistakes. But have you ever had to do the same for him?
We've had a couple of moments which I always jokingly say to everybody, I've saved his career. So there was we were doing a changeover in the middle of the night of the packs on top of the stores, and there was 2 packs, and each pack has 6 or 8 circuits in them, and they wanted to change these over, disconnect them, take them off the roof and put a new one. They wanted to do that all in one night. And the pair of us stood there and went, no, it's too much. We're never going to get that done. So we decided to rig up a temporary board on the floor in one of the packs, put the flexes in. So when it come over, it was just cut them off, do it away with it, and it gave us just a bit more time to, we were disconnecting the pack really the night before. Thing was, they're all externally monitored, and to shut them down, you had to have the refrigeration cases emptied by the store. We're not allowed to touch the products. It wasn't really done, and we went, we should be able to just take, each one do it, one at a time without it being too long. But the main supply for the pack, it just took us a minute too long, and the pack shut down on us. And he was doing it. I was only an apprentice, sort of watching and helping at the time. And he said, there's some pretty language, and we're in trouble now. We shouldn't be doing this. And for some unbeknown reason, it was like one of them comedy sketches again. Big red button, reset. I just stood there, pushed the button. I thought, well, we're in trouble anyway. Like, what? It all fired up again. It just stood there looking at me like, how did you do that? Well, it said reset on it. And that is always said to be the day that I saved his career, sort of thing. And it wasn't a mistake. It was,
These things happen,
it was just one of them things that happened.
Even the most basic things that people have been doing for years and years and years, you can guarantee at some point you're going to forget and slip up and do something wrong and think, oh, this is apprentice level stuff. This.
But it's always been, with him, with me, sort of thing. There's always been moments in my growth as an electrician where, what am I doing? What have I done? I'm in a mess here. It was, let's go and ask for advice about get out of this. And 9 times out of 10, there is a solution of like what we can do, another way of looking at it. And he just always seemed to be able to not get you out of trouble, but just help you correct your mistakes, sort of thing. And it was, his education for me was, no disrespect to going to college and everything, but I learnt more from on site with him and other electricians than I feel I ever did at college, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It was the college side of things was like formality, really. Like,
yeah, just getting the papers and.
Yeah.
I mean, I do hear that. I'm not knocking college. There's going to be better ones than others, but I do hear that a lot. Yeah. People saying they almost only learn box ticking, the basics from college or apprentices, whichever route they've gone through.
I think it's we're in a very, it's a practical job, and I think if you've come out of college saying I've learnt more at college on how to do a practical job, that you've probably done it wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's a practical job. The best place to go and learn is actually on site. I mean, I only ever learn by doing things myself. I need a little bit of theory and understanding of what to do, but it's not until somebody gives me the tools and went, right, you have a go, that you think, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah. Do you still find you lean on your dad for any things? What you might come to a job and think, actually, I'm not quite sure.
To be honest, I mean, as Murray's Electrical has sort of gone on, I've sort of left him more to, I suppose, the design and pricing of the work, and I'm, you know, my side's more the install and the testing and the practical side, and I think that's, you know, I probably lean on him a little bit too much, but if that's the way we can set it at the start, then hopefully that's the way it can sort of carry on into the future. But it was hard at first, I think, because I did have a couple of occasions when I was doing my apprenticeship with people on the company saying, "Oh, he's just riding on the back of his old man's success," sort of thing. But very, very quickly they separated us after this complaint was made, and within a few weeks we were back together again, because they'd obviously reported back he's got no, you know, he's all right, knows what he's doing, and it was almost like a jealousy thing, I think, within the company of,
Yeah.
there was a couple of young lads on the company that sort of dragged their heels a little bit through, and I sort of leapfrogged them a little bit because, like I said, you know, I was a little bit older, a little bit more willing, a little bit more game to learning, and so the young lads that were dragging behind, I sort of leapfrogged them, and I think that was where some of the complaints come from, for, you know, being family members. And
Yeah, there's another question I sort of had, which you've sort of touched on, was do you feel like you have sort of just followed in your dad's footsteps, or do you feel like you both forging the path together, sort of thing?
It's a good question. I mean, I suppose I've sort of followed in his footsteps with everything, even, you know, whether it's my motorsport side of things and the electrical now. I mean, I think what we're doing now with the motorsport and the business is, you know, it's the both of us, you know, the collaboration of the both of us, sort of the success that we've created together, sort of thing. Whereas I think before I'd started doing them 18 months ago, you could say I was, you know, sort of earning a living doing what my dad done, but I think the last 18 months has been a bit of a push from, you know, I think it was myself that was a bit more pushy with starting a business, and, you know, he's getting towards the sort of end of his career, really. You know, I don't think he wants to be doing it for much longer.
Yeah.
But I think it was my, you know, I suppose my drive and determination in after the pandemic and everything to sort of possibly push this into the next level. And like you say, it might be a little bit of trying to put my own mark and stamp on everything.
But that's a good thing, because I think anyone who says they're not following in someone else's footsteps are probably lying, because not consciously, but
Yeah.
we're all influenced by someone or something, whether
Yeah.
it's family, or you've seen someone doing it on YouTube, or
Yeah.
your friend is doing it.
Yeah.
You're influenced by them, so that's probably going to set you on a
Yeah.
path. But like
Well,
you're driving your own sort of way of doing it, and that's your
Yeah,
your path. Then.
You know, my dad's, you know, he's been a big influence in my work and my hobbies. So, like I say, it'd be wrong to say no, I'm not following in his footsteps. But I think over the last couple of years, we have got to a point where, you know, possibly I'm trying to push it on a little bit more than he has. In, you know, he's done everything I've done, you know, and he was probably doing the same things at my age, like an electrician doing rally driving. I think at my age he was doing them things, you know, but in the 80s he was doing all of that. But I think I've now got a drive behind it of, you know, let's see if we can push it on.
Want to do it your way?
Yeah, let's go into another level, or, you know, see if we can get a bit more success out of it.
Yeah. What advice would you give to any of our audience who may be thinking about putting a family business together, or maybe even struggling working with their own family?
I think you've sort of got to step into it sort of open-minded. You've almost got to leave the family aspects at the door. You know, it is professional, it is business, and, you know, business can bite sometimes, like, but you've also got to you know, you're backing each other. You know, it's a team rather than a family. And I think when you look at picking team members, I mean, I don't know about everybody else, but if you're thinking about going into a business with family, I think you're obviously must be in a point where if you were picking a team, family members would be amongst the people, you know, you'd pick in life anyway.
Yeah. Do you think you said anything in this interview that might get you in trouble?
Possibly.
So tomorrow you're going to get the...
I'm never short being in trouble with family anyway.
Never too old for the belt.
I never got it that bad, I must admit. I've got to give him a bit of credit. I never got it that bad, but I've got three brothers, there was 4 boys, and out of the 4 of us, it was normally me in trouble. Right?
Yeah, probably your own
I think
fault
that's why he took me to work with him, to be honest. Come out on it, keep an eye on you, like, just behave yourself for 5 minutes.
All right, I want to thank you anyway for coming on the show, Brett. So we've got more episodes featuring yourself here at SGTV. So our audience out there, please make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification button below, and you'll see more from myself and Brett. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.